Conversations continue here at Davos 2025, and joining us now is the Minister for Skills Development, Jayant Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary, many thanks for joining us here in Davos. I would imagine it's been a busy last few days for you, meeting people both on the government side as well as the private sector. You know, the big story from an India point of view continues to be its people, the talent capital, the talent pool that is being leveraged not just by domestic companies but more so by global companies. What's the big takeaway? What's the big read that you take away from here?
Well, I think at Davos, over the years, and you've been here, you've seen the progress. The brand India is being respected, recognized world over. And of course, the largest component of brand India is not the companies and not the governments and not the leaders as much as it's the people. They are well accepted in the communities where they reside. They are providing leadership. And India's role in the community, larger community of nations, the way they've taken up the leadership role, whether it's climate change or the finesse with which we organize the G20 track, and on various issues of global importance. Our positions are well reasoned and respected. So I think first time for me coming to Davos, but it was resounding. The way the respect for India, the interest in India, the curiosity, the desire to come to India and invest in India and invest in our people.
Yes. Well, and that has been something that has been playing out through the Global Capability Center story, where India clearly is at the forefront at this point in time. But, you know, speaking about skills development in the context of a high-tech world, in the context of an AI-led and an AI-driven world, a lot of the heavy lifting, of course, the private sector will have to do, but it will also have to be in conjunction with the government. So what's the plan now as far as being able to address some of these new sectors, some of these sunrise sectors, so to speak, from a skills point of view?
So I think Indian government has been doing the right things. Some of these new innovations, when they first come in, you have to give it time to grow, for every sector to understand the full potential, to be able to research, innovate, tinker. And I think that's the ground setting has been done by government. We have a national strategy for AI. We're trying to do the institutional building. There was some catching up to do. Our capacity to compute, our approach on open system versus proprietary, and our usage of digital technologies, the way we've utilized them for providing a social good, for dissemination and delivery of social welfare schemes, is also part of that story. We know that 90 million plus mobile users, lowest data costs, there's adaptability of Indian consumers to accessing and using technology. So that is a kind of readiness that people can tap into. That's an open market. And I think even some of the AI story emerging, the innovation, the way government of India is saying that we don't need to have regulation, oversight, law as much as we need to have standardization, create resource centers, enable research. And let's unleash a new wave of private sector in India and let them take leadership on the global stage. We already have capacities. We have programmers, we have coders, technically minded people on STEM. 43% of women in higher education in STEM. So even the gender issue, because some concerns on AI, on ethical AI, and what it means is if the algorithms are not designed by people who are diverse, then the end product will not represent the world.
Absolutely, the biases will.
So the biases will continue. So that there India's position on data sovereignty, our continuation of trust and the values that we represent, I think that is also important. And we're building all of that into the structures that we are creating for tomorrow. Even on AI, 16% of the global workforce on AI with AI skills is India. And recently QS on the Future Skills Index ranked India second. Stanford has said on AI penetration, they've released an index and they put us ahead of even USA. These are all encouraging signs.
No, encouraging signs for certain, but what will you be focused on? What will you prioritize, especially when we talk about, ensuring that we have the requisite skills for our people to continue to make good of this advantage? What is the government looking at specifically from an AI perspective today?
I think right now we have to prepare. There is going to be some amount of disruption. There's a lot of fear and hype also being created that some jobs are going to be taken away. If you break down a job into a series of tasks, and that is what Skill Ministry has been advocating for. We're working towards standardization. NCVT, which are the regulators, created occupation standards, nano credentials, micro credentials. You break down any job into a series of tasks, and you compare that and benchmark it to the global standard. So that's the whole exercise. And if you look at it that way, then AI is about complementarity. It's about augmentation. Jobs may not go away as much as they might make people in those jobs more effective and efficient. So that's good for everyone. But we have to prepare for that.
Yeah.
So AI readiness, foundational AI courses are something we're going to push out. I'm also Minister for Schools.
Yes.
And you know that schools across our network, even central schools, Kendriya Vidyalaya schools, Navodaya Vidyalaya schools, those students are already learning that foundational AI. There's a program with METI and private sector, Intel, big companies have come on board, IBM, Microsoft. They're helping us design those shorter term courses so that we can certify that a large percentage of our population is AI ready. But I would still urge corporate India, because CNBC, everyone watches, all the business leaders watch, tune in. I think every sector needs to have a dedicated AI team to ideate. And when you say AI, don't think you just need engineers and coders. You need thinkers, you need philosophers, you need people who understand market, you need non-technical people to talk to the technical people and create the products, create the layers. So I think every Indian enterprise must have dedicated AI teams to understand, analyze and disseminate.
There was also efforts underway to try and ensure that there is more of an alignment between the needs of industry and the skills that we are imparting at this point in time. And I know that this has been work in progress over the last several years.
It will always be.
I would imagine. But where are we at this point in time? Because, what you hear from a lot of industry players also is that, look, we have the jobs, but you don't find the people with the requisite skills. And then you have people saying, where are the jobs?
So the thing is, in countries like India, there's a context to this, which are young, where labor is in mass supply, where there's a large informal sector. There's a natural progression to how things happen. We've seen that in other countries, development of countries. So our goal is to formalize the sector, creditize learning, create an appreciation for that, an aspiration for skilling, weave it into and integrate it to our formal education systems, so that students don't feel that degree nahi kar paya, chalo diploma kar leta. And based on skills, not a resume or a degree, should the hiring happen. And this is where we really need corporate India to step up. We hear so much talk about 70-hour week or 90-hour week. I'm not getting into that. I've had a position on that earlier.
What is your position on that?
I think firms that want to charge a client hours will talk in terms of hours. And firms that want to create a product and innovate will talk in terms of efficiency. So it's not just hours. We know, in government we know. People can sit in office and do other things. You need to be effective in what you're doing. And that effectiveness is very important. What Prime Minister says, that zero defect and zero effect, sustainably, climate responsibly, and creatively, and produce for the world according to the best global standards. That is what brand India should be. So I think what I'm saying here is that even as this is an iterative process, there will be changes that happen in the landscape. My ministry's job is to work actively with industry, so we're going to do regular skill surveys, skill gaps, skill assessments, and we are going to have to constantly retool our formal and applied sciences and technical education aspects.
Further upgradation of the ITIs, etc., to meet with the new needs?
That's a massive scheme. It's been announced and it's being worked out. There's a dialogue that is happening with industry and states, because you need active participation from them. We need to give them real ownership of this exercise. And that's where real change will happen.
By when do we start to see change happen on that front, given the fact that the scheme is already in progress?
I think we're already seeing change. Once you've started that dialogue, you have to understand that every state government must prioritize skills. And I think after the Prime Minister talks about skills, after the Finance Minister talks about skills, it gives us all a mandate and a certain power. And I think even Chief Ministers, our Hon'ble Chandrababu Naidu ji, I spoke with him, and all the Chief Ministers, Fadnavis ji, our Chief Minister from Telangana is here, Revan ji, Central Ministers. You ask them. Every dialogue they've had with every global leader, corporate leader, they're stressing about the skills.
You talked about India's position in the world, and let's talk about it from the context of skills and people, because we have a young population. Our demographic advantages are often been highlighted as one of our key advantages, and we have an aging population in large parts of the rest of the world. Now, as part of bilateral engagements that India is doing at this point in time, as part of its economic partnership agreements and so on and so forth, how crucial will it be to focus on people mobility? Is there at this point in time a greater appetite, you think, for that?
I think with AI, that's another aspect that we need to look at. Even the GCCs need to think about it. That today there's a globalization of work, and technological tools are there. Wherever you are, you can work from there and create from there and innovate and research from there. So I think there's a lot of rescaling and retooling that Indian corporates and centers that are manufacturing, producing for the world need to do to be competitive and to retain that edge. I think that's the basic story, that we need to constantly engage and consider lifelong learning to be an aspect for every age group. India's strength is our people. Our median age is about 28 years.
Yes.
But that's a dividend if we are used productively, if we empower our youth and enable them.
So what will the headline be for the Skills Development Ministry in 2025? What should we expect from you to deliver on?
I think it's a continuous journey. And I think I've set my own targets for myself personally. Prime Minister and the PMO continuously monitors the progress. And what he wants from us is a convergence, a whole of government approach. There's skilling tied into every agreement, like you said. We've just done a TEPA agreement with Switzerland's a party to that, to EFTA, countries, 4 countries. And skilling is explicitly part of that. Every labor when people want to come and set up semiconductor plant in India, or the higher tech, deep tech, they want to see the skills. So it's all rolled into that. I think we need to work, and we're holding regular meetings with states, with industry partners, with other ministries to see how our ministry can help them do the capacity building.
So if you can leave me with one number or one target, as you pointed out, you've got lots of internal targets that you've set for yourself that you hope to get done over the next 12 to 18 months, what would that be?
You have to understand, every year about 24 million young people are entering the workforce. And we're training, we've trained 16 million in our programs in short-term training. Every year in the long-term training through our ITI ecosystem of about 15,000 institutions, we're training about 2.5 million. So 2.5 million, you speak to, Switzerland, and the size of that, the scale of that is massive for any country in Europe. But still, it's a drop in the ocean. So our aim is to get our whole working age population ready and skilled to provide for the world.
Mr. Chaudhary, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us here in Davos. We wish you the very best of luck with the plans that you're currently working on. It is going to be an arduous but a very critical and important journey to make. But thanks very much for your time.